back to Take Two, presented by LeftRightPolitics.com, a discussion of the times and current events. I'm joined as always by Adam Matlack and Mike Pomerantz. Today, I'd like to talk about Joe Biden a bit. I'd like to know if the media is giving Biden a pass while he keeps his campaign on simmer and largely focused online.
Thanks, Richard. Good to be back with you and Adam. Adam's looking good today. The media, as long as Trump continues to shoot his own face off, the media is not going easy on Biden. I really believe that there isn't a conspiracy of bad coverage of Trump. He's doing a bad job of campaigning. And in terms of policy and governing, the only things that are effective are, sort of the cronyism bits that are coming out of the Justice Department now. But the economy's not getting better. The stock market's been propped up artificially. There is reduction of federal assistance for testing. A lot of the testing is going to expire at the end of this month. And his position is just put it on the states. As long as this is the way he's going to conduct himself, I think it's very hard to say, well, the media is not hammering Biden hard enough for not coming out. And I think what is so exciting to think about it, talk about it. When I say exciting, it's kind of like a little bit of gallows excitement, but he has to come out and debate. And what will happen then? And what will the coverage be then? When he hides himself, I think it offsets or destabilizes the expectation, because we haven't seen this stump speech where the hot spots get the big applause lines. And Trump is out, but he's having a hard time. There's I think a legit criticism that he's spending too much time trying to be funny, and I don't think that's really working for him. So they're both. I mean, I'm assuming Biden is rusty because he hasn't been out there. I'm saying Trump is rusty because we haven't seen any of it. We've actually seen it. And look, once Biden gets out there and starts doing what he does, which is fumbling and stumbling, I know part of it is his stammer, but part of it is that, look, I've watched the guy for a long time. He's not as snappy. He's not as sharp as he used to be. And that is consistent with everyone I know who is about his age. It doesn't mean he's not intelligent. It doesn't mean he doesn't know where he is, but his delivery has been toned down noticeably. Some people would say that's ageist to criticize that. Some people would say it's ableist to make fun of his stammer. I don't think the press has an obligation to make fun of his stammer. I don't think that's what's meant by balanced coverage. But he's going to continue to get this pass, and I think he's going to deserve it as long as Trump continues to sort of self-sabotage. And that is, that brings us to the debates, which is just the most sort of curious, fascinating part of this whole deal, because Trump is showing himself to be the master of self-sabotage. Biden has a history of self-sabotage. This is just more in terms, not so much with governing, but in terms of their delivery. We can talk about governing separately. And they're going to be doing it together on the same stage in front of millions of people on television. And I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, especially because one of the narratives coming out of Tulsa and Arizona is that it's almost like Trump hasn't decided how he's going to lay hands on Biden. I think what he's at right now is that he's scared, and that's helpful when you're saying, I want 4 debates and you only want 3 debates, or I want 5 debates. So you can paint your guy as scared. And they're also saying like he lacks mental acuity. But man, every time Trump goes out, or every time he contradicts his staff, that feeds into the counter narrative that he's the one lacking mental acuity. So Biden, once we get to the debates, and once we can see these people with our own eyes, then we'll be not only in a better position to see where they are, but also in a better position to see what the media's reaction is. I mean, if Biden just flames out and gets a free pass, this conversation would be very different. I think right now, I don't hold the media as being unfair to Trump when he has just blown it in so many ways on so many issues.
Yeah, so there's a playbook that almost every president, when you're, already elected, you play that playbook. You hammer on the things that you're strong on. You act presidential. You remind people that you're presidential. You remind people that you're doing a full-time job and they're just trying to tell you to lie, and all these other things, going down the line of all the advantages that an incumbent in a presidential race has. The thing is that the Trump administration isn't doing any of those things. And the people in charge seem to be, I don't know, being controlled by Trump or these other people who just aren't very good at it. And the first time they won by accident, and I think they're kind of thinking, which is something you said earlier, Mike, that they're gonna win again just by something. They're gonna win because media is full of it or whatever. It's an interesting narrative and thought, but it's incredibly idealistic and not true. The situation with Biden being in his little bunker or in his basement or whatever, and I mean, that's what, when I think of it, I think of Biden in a basement and he's just sitting down there on a couch and he's not doing anything. I mean, I don't think he's doing anything. I literally haven't seen a Biden clip, and I'm in the news, man. I'm in it. I'm reading the news all the time, and I haven't seen a live Biden clip for over a month of Biden responding, doing anything, saying what he would do. And here's the real truth, is that I guess they figured it out. Maybe they're secretly watching our show. But the biggest thing here is that the biggest thing Biden has going for him is that he's not Trump. His single advantage point. I mean, most people don't like the guy. It seems that he's not able to, get people excited. He's not going to get people excited. His middle of the road politics aren't going to get people excited. He's not going to be promising anything outrageous or outlandish like most of his other competitors back in the fall were and have been, and beyond in the spring, and now we're in the summer, and now he's just completely quiet. And I don't think the media not talking about that is a bias as much as it is the fact that they're not doing anything to talk about. I mean, he's not laying out some plan about how he would deal with Corona differently. He's not talking about how he would be fixing the economy. They don't have any stuff. And there's no reason politically. I mean, if the goal is to win the election, definitely, and you're way up, you don't act like you're behind and try to make up ground and piss people off. I mean, that's part of this new identity politics thing. There's a whole wave of anybody who's in the spotlight can be attacked, and if you say the wrong thing, and that's the other factor here, is that the dude has a history of saying the wrong thing in a racially charged wrong thing. I mean, he seems to be predisposed in some cases, and if you go back in his history, he has some of that too, that it's not a pretty picture about what's going on in some of his takes, some of his votes, and some of his outlandish commentary back in the day. It's bad stuff. So I think they're hiding him for more than one reason, not just because he's old and bumbly, but because Trump is, a sinking ship, and let him sink. Don't take any damage. Just let them continue to hammer themselves. But your point is the most valid point here. Is the most interesting thing to talk about is to speculate when the August and September and October debates roll around, how people weigh, Biden could be 14 points up, and it could be true. I don't think it is, but that's what I'm reading, right? And the polls are saying that. Look, it's a long way off, and people choose, but it's a binary choice here. This is a binary decision. And if Biden looks weak, comes off weak, in many ways, Trump is the perfect guy to attack, assail, belittle, and knock somebody down pegs and be like, oh, sleep, you're not. And I can already see it now. Second debate, you're going to have pundits talking about how Biden needs to show oomph, how he needs to he needs to reiterate his points. He needs to be strong, and he needs to come out and hit a line of white juice before he comes out there because he's dead. And so I mean, that's going to be some of the narrative, and watching that and seeing that happen is going to be very, very interesting. But the big thing here is that people, and like Mike said it, people who are for Biden hate Trump, and there's probably more people who hate Trump than there are for Biden, which is important. But some of that disdain for Trump, I think, is part of having disdain for the other person doesn't necessarily output voting turnout. And so that's not how that works. Typically, it's the other way around. If you look at Obama's takes, people liked Obama. They wanted to vote for him, not just because they hated the other guy. And here we go. We're what, 3 months away from meaningful, real deal, or maybe 2.5, 3 months away from real deal, head-to-head situation, and I'm excited to see what happens because I don't think it's anywhere near as far of a gap as the polls are saying.
Yeah, I mean, for someone who's interested in this stuff, it is fascinating. It's crazy. We've never seen anything like this. I will echo your point and then enhance on the binary decision. It is a binary decision, but Biden is not one of the choices. The decision is simply Trump and not Trump. And Biden is a perfect cipher, and this is maybe one of the few national elections that he could possibly win, if you think about it. I mean, we talked about Justin Amash. It's kind of amazing to think about how anybody could run a better campaign and and utilize the leverage of being the incumbent. I mean, I realize there's problems with being the incumbent too. You sort of give up this insurgency act, which is, Trump is still pushing that, but you can do the things like, look, we've done this. We passed legislation. We had success on, crim law reform, and they have, but it's not hitting home because of all the bad news that he's trying to weather. I think with Trump, it's a car crash that you can't help but look at. There was a time, an idea that people were like, well, it's time for change, and he's irreverent, and he's not going to, play by their rules. But at this point, it's just like, I do think people are sick of it. I know we're going to talk about Tulsa separately, but the idea that that he doesn't have a way to package Biden, whether it's the emails or whether it's the birth certificate. I think you have the Hunter Biden issue, but in a way, the impeachment was stupendously successful at diffusing that in advance. I remember when I was in practice, let's say I knew my guy, I got a car accident case or some other stupid case, but my guy had been in jail. He had previously been in jail for some bad act, and it was a bad act that under the rules of evidence for PA or New Jersey, that was going to come out. The jury was going to get to find out about it. Well, they were going to find out about it from me. I was going to be the person to get it out there, get out in front of it, and that works on a macro level too. And, my God, Biden had a ton of help. He wasn't even the nominee, and he had a ton of help getting in front of that. So I feel like that one is old news. I don't think it's going to stimulate the base. And I am just wondering, where are they going to find a box to put Biden in that's going to have traction? I don't think he's had enough of a close call, other than the Hunter Biden thing. I don't think he's had enough of a close call. But maybe China will come up with something. Maybe Russia will come up with something. It just seems like right now that if I'm Mitch McConnell or if I'm Lindsey Graham, I am starting to keep some powder dry, because I want to continue to have a political career if this guy flames out. And right now, it kind of looks like he's flaming out. And if that erosion continues, then it'll be a very good. How long is it going to take us to get a decision on this? By the way, like I was going to say, we'll have a good night in November, but it won't be one night, right? We won't know anything for a couple of days. That's a conversation for when we get closer. But yeah, I'm a little concerned about what might happen. I'm super excited to see what the debates look like, because that's a national moment where everyone will be watching. It's not like the debates from the primary where by the time it was mano a mano, everybody was so sick of it. My God, that seems like a long time ago. Now we're going to see, we're going to see the two heavyweights trying to see who gets to be the champion. And that is, I mean, I hate to say it, but there is an entertaining part of this. There is a sport part of this. It does appeal to me. I would be lying if I said it didn't. And that is, we are inexorably heading to that. It's going to be a big showdown, because whether or not Joe is high energy or low energy, Trump is having such a hard time now that if he thinks he's going to hit a 5-run home run in these debates, that might be an overreach. So we'll see what happens.
In the same way that Trump is allowing, or the Biden campaign is allowing Trump to sink himself now, there's many cases to be made, in my opinion, that Biden could be the one sinking himself in the debates. He's not going to be able to hide. Now, they have a long time to prep, and if I was Biden's team, I'd be prepping for it right now. I mean, I'd be on it every single day. The twists of answers is the key to success in a debate when you're a politician who's a liar, right? So you don't answer the question, you pivot to something that you can. So it's like, do you approve of babies on spikes? And don't answer that question. It's, listen, I kissed a baby yesterday. It was the cutest thing. Because of Tulsa, and Tulsa's the greatest people in the world, and I love babies. And that's the key. And I don't think Biden has ever had that ability, but it's something that could be learned, and it's something definitely could be practiced. And without it, I think he will suffer. And I think even more, if you talk about baselines, Trump has had a 50% approval rating. He's had that. And I think he can return there very quickly when people realize that means that they don't hate him. Look, anybody who's on the list who has ever said, I approve of Trump's job, they're a possible yes to vote for him, period. End story. And that's just where we are. I think people forget how quickly some people, they might hate Trump today, or they might not like what's going on today, but when they come up with that binary decision, they're gonna be like, I'm not choosing that guy. That guy is a socialist, or that guy is this, or all these things. And so I think it just comes down to, really the question is like money. Money's going to be a big part. Richard let us know how, and there's many articles talking about that's the only thing in the news about Biden, is that he's tearing it up in the fundraising pool, and he's making the rounds. Corporations are paying their dues, and he's collecting them. And it's fascinating and scary all at the same time, because this is a person who, this should not be some spectacle, right? But it is, and it's going to be. And we're like, at least I certainly am excited about it. And I mean, in many ways, because I step back and I wonder what a concession speech from Trump will look like. I tried to think of that the other day, and greatest campaign in the world. They stole it from us. This is garbage. And one of the worst I can imagine it'll be the train wreck of train wrecks for concession speeches if he in fact loses. I don't know if he will or not. I think people are jumping. You need to hop in.
Let me ask you this. I don't want to go too far over, but the question will be posed to Biden at the debate at some point, and it will be carefully constructed to get him into a trap. But let's say that AOC and Bernie take it easy on him. Okay, so as we cruise into the convention, we don't have a fight over Medicare for all. It's not going to be I'm just hypothesizing, but let's assume it's not in the platform, and then we get to the debates. And if you're Biden, you're either going to be saying those left-leaning liberals are crazy, in which case you're making an incredible risk.
Yeah.
Or so, in other words, when you talk about the pivot, this is the way he's going to have to pivot, because they're going to say, "Look, you turned your back on the socialists by not having Medicare for all, but don't you need them?" And he's either got to say, "I do need them," and they don't have enough intelligence to know what they want, or he's going to say, "I don't need them." But it's the kind of question where if he does answer it directly, yes or no, he's going to get stuck. How would you answer it, or how would you advise him to answer it, assuming that he does put a little daylight with the platform between himself and the socialists?
Yeah, he definitely will put that gap. There definitely will be a gap. But the way to do this in every modern political arena is to come out with, I have a plan. We call it the Biden-Obama plan, and it's or the Biden care, or whatever you want to call it. And my plan is a 1,842-point plan to fix the issues, and you can keep your insurance if you want to, and the people who are uninsured get insured, and the people who need it will get it. And I mean, you literally just pontificate a bunch of garbage that isn't true, that everyone knows can't be passed. I mean, Klobuchar was one of the most interesting candidates this past election cycle, because she was one of the few who literally said it from the stage. She said, and I damn near quote, "I'm putting up a package that I know can actually pass." And nobody's sitting there saying that, saying, "Oh, I'm the reasonable one up here, and what I'm saying could actually pass the House and the Senate and be ratified." And these people are pushing out plans that will never see a stamp. And so but that's what you do. I mean, that's how she didn't even sort of win. She completely lost. She got hammered because she's the reasonable one. That's not how you win elections. You lie and you pretend like your plan is the answer. And so you don't talk about Medicaid for all is bad, but it has great roots, and this is how we fix it. We just give it all away. I mean, you don't have to explain how. Bernie's never been roasted at the stake for not explaining how he's going to pay for anything, ever.
Well, but he does explain to his detriment. He says we're going to raise taxes.
Sure. Okay, that's partially true, but even that doesn't.
I know that doesn't pay for it. Biden is afraid to say that.
Fair enough, but I mean, when he says it's pay for it, we'll find the money. We'll find the money. This is important. I'm restoring honor and dignity to the office and to our nation. That's what you do. You make it a moral question, and then nobody's be like, "Well, that's true. I think it's really hard to have little Jimmy not be insured, and we need to make it happen. But don't raise my taxes."
All right. With that, that's all the time we have today. Thank you both for your thoughts. If you enjoyed our discussion, be sure to like and subscribe below, and we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Thanks again, and we hope you join us for the next edition of Take Two, presented by LeftRightPolitics.com.